Hello, extraordinaries. Let me start with a question for you today before we get stuck into this exciting episode. Think of a dollar amount that feels beyond your current level of belief. What is that amount? Is it $10,000, $100,000, 1 million, 10 million? What is that amount? Now, how would you feel if that amount of money arrived in your bank account tomorrow morning? You woke up and saw that dollar amount in your bank account. That's what I want to talk to you about today. Wiring to wealth consciousness. Hello and welcome to the High Performance Consciousness Podcast. My name is Matthew Paddy, and again, I will be your host for today's episode, which is all about wiring to wealth consciousness. Now, this is a big subject that often gets well overlooked and diluted at the same time by a lot of the narratives and storylines and marketing that is out there in the world. Wealth consciousness is different for every single person. Wealth does not necessarily mean money. However, in this episode, we are going to talk about money, that very thing that brings up so much fear and so much frustration and overwhelm for so many people on the planet, let alone those in the entrepreneurial world and those on the business journey. So let's dive in straight away. Wealth can mean many things to many people. Now, you can have spiritual wealth, you can have family wealth, health can be your wealth, your emotional, mental state can be wealth. Lots of different aspects of life. You can experience, attain, and manage wealth in those areas. Now, wealth regarding money, the acquiring of money, the management of money, the growing of money, and the holding and building of money is all around your values. So what you value is what you give most attention to. So if you do not have a value for wealth building in as far as money is concerned, you simply will receive money and it will leave just as quickly as it arrived. So many studies have proven that you can give everyone in a community the same amount of money, and within a very short period of time, it will move from those people and the hands that do not value it the most to the hands and those people that do value money the most. And so this has been proven time and time again, regardless of culture, regardless of country, regardless of time. And it is a proven scientific fact that those that do not value wealth building and wealth management and creation simply will not experience it in their lifetime. So what about you? What do you value? And if you have health at the top of your list, if you have family, if you have career stability or certainty, if you have community service, they are all really good. There is no judgment based on what you value. However, if they are the top 3 to 4 to 5 values and wealth building or money management, growing your money is not a part of your top 3 to 5 values, then you simply will not experience the benefits of giving your attention to building wealth. Now, it's not for everyone. And yet what most people lie awake in bed every night thinking about is money, not enough money. There's more bills at the end of the month than money. In the entrepreneurial journey, it is how do I attract higher caliber clients? How do I retain clients? How do I serve those clients? But most importantly is why am I doing the entrepreneurial journey in the first place? At the beginning, it's because we have a big why. We want to serve. We want to align with a deeper soul calling or mission or purpose. But along the way, we often feel a little bit constricted or contracted around the idea of money, the exchange of money for services. That's essentially what it is. Money does not have a consciousness of itself. When money was being printed by the dollar note or $100 note, it is essentially a piece of paper with the face of a dead person on it, tongue-in-cheek but real. So it has no inherent value, it has perceived value. So when you think about your money consciousness, you automatically may start to feel stressed around it. You may start to feel excited around it. You may start to feel aspiring or inspired about growing your money. However, if it is not in your top 3 to 5 values, you simply will not experience the havingness of it, the management of it, and the growing and building and independence that you desire from it. Okay, so money doesn't have a consciousness on its own. It is merely an exchange of value. That's all that it is. So think about it for a moment as well, that a lot of people probably listening to this podcast are spiritual, or they have a new bent on life, a new focus on energy and quantum physics and neuroscience, consciousness, all those sorts of things. That is fantastic. The New Age movement, and this is tongue-in-cheek as well and quite a broad brush stroke of generality, but the New Age movement gave rise to the rejection of money, that we can be sovereign individuals living life according to our own laws and our own values. And that is true. However, maybe it's you, maybe you've observed it in others, maybe it's in clients or family members or peers, that there is a rejection of the idea of money because of what it has been believed to be. So money is an exchange of value. It has no consciousness of its own. You give consciousness to the exchange of value, and money is part of that exchange of value for product or for service. So, if you want to grow your wealth consciousness, you must move out of the poverty mindset that is altruistic, that says, I cannot receive, I invest all my time, energy, thoughts, feelings, and actions in giving. And in giving, we, without any balance, we become lopsided and we become people pleasers, and at its deepest shadow, we actually refuse to accept gifts from the field. So we block our own wealth consciousness. We block our own abundance. We block our ability to receive that which we burn as desire. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Contrary to that, is you've got altruism and then you've got narcissism. Now, narcissism is actually been given a really bad rap because it does have a shadow. Both sides of the polarized triangle have a shadow when they are imbalanced. But narcissism is really about focusing and filling your cup first, which means you cannot go out into the world and serve in your greatest capacity when you are a leaky bucket. I'll say it again. You cannot serve in your highest capacity if you are a leaky bucket. You are leaking energy. You have an inability to receive, a fear of receiving, whether it's a deep subconscious wound, whether it's shame or guilt, which is very, very much linked to wealth consciousness and the growing of money. And there is this rejection there through unworthiness. I'm not worthy to receive. Now, all of these notions are at a superficial level are just illusions. They're BS. Because you have been taught how to operate because you've been rolled in an outside environment. You've looked to the outside for confirmation and permission to do or not to do, to be or not to be. When you have looked inside of yourself, which is where your universe, your outerverse manifests from, your outerverse manifests from your inner world dialogue. Okay. So if you are rejecting the idea of others having money or the growth of empires and the building of physical wealth, then you are rejecting that for yourself. Because in somewhere deep inside, you have made that a bad thing. You've actually said, well, I can see no evidence of greatness in the world when big money is involved. And media pushes this, a lot of the conspiracy theory pushes this, a lot of the truth behind some conspiracy theories pushes this as well. So you have a warped sense and a bipolar sense of wealth and the attainment and management of wealth. So that which you reject is that which you give attention to. It's like fighting something. You fight for a cause, you are giving attention to that which you are trying to overcome or oppose. Does that make sense? So you must fill your cup first on the entrepreneurial journey. And how you do that is you first value yourself. And in valuing yourself, you determine a fair exchange for the service rendered. So you can go through and say, well, how do I know what the fair exchange is? The fair exchange is what the market determines. It's like the stock market. The price of stocks at the time of this recording is superinflated. It is running contrary to what is happening at a global economic level. So there is a perception that there is greater value in these companies in the stock market, and so people will continue to ride the wave. Those people that choose to get out and not ride the wave for fear of collapse or contraction or crash, that's their decision. However, your value is what you determine, and how you receive that level of value is how you express and enroll others in that perception as well. So you have a value of yourself at being $15 an hour, $50 an hour, $500 an hour, $5,000 an hour. It doesn't matter. But you have placed that value on yourself first, as I've seen many, many times in the coaching and consulting community, by looking outside of you. What is everyone else doing? I can't possibly do that. I'll charge less. And in charging less, I undermine my own value and my own self-worth. And therefore, in charging less, I have an imbalanced wealth equation, because in my mind, although I'm charging less, I'm actually feeling I need to go beyond service and over-deliver and overextend myself to please someone else, because I am carrying shame and guilt from my past. Shame and guilt are the killers of wealth. Shame and guilt are the killers of your imagination at the same time. So to clear your shame and guilt is another process altogether, but you must look at areas of your life previous to this current reality you're experiencing, and start to look at, where do I feel guilty? What have I done in the past, either to someone else or have had done to me? Guilt is a personal projected state. Shame is a projected state upon you from others. So guilt is, I feel I have done some wrong, and it doesn't have to be to do with money. It could be something as small as I accidentally borrowed/stole a $1 coin or note from my mother or my best friend or whatever it may be when I was 7. And you've got a very finite view of money, that it must come from someone else. It must come from outside of you. So you never taught how to manage it. Most importantly, you never taught how to receive it. So can you see that there is this paradox that is we're setting up unconsciously? And that is, I lower my value, I charge less than the market, and therefore I believe I need to overcome my guilt of a past event. So I will over-deliver and continue to over-deliver, and I will add more holes to my bucket, and I will leak more energy. So that's one part for you to consider. The other part is, when you receive $1 $10, $100, $1,000, whatever it's going to be, what do you do with that money? What do you do with it? Because like I said at the beginning of this episode, those that value money and the exchange of it and the building of wealth and acquiring of it, they are the ones that attract more of it to manage and more of it to acquire. Those that do not value it and end up spending it on everyday items and letting it run through their fingers like water or runny butter, whatever it may be, you have essentially set yourself up to be the leaky bucket. So think of this. Money loves a plan. Consciousness is engaged in a plan. So when you receive $1, $10, $100, $1,000, $100,000, whatever it's going to be, what are you doing with that money? Is it adding value to your life, or is it, i.e., is it appreciating the value to your life, or is it depreciating? Most people on the planet still receive money and place it into depreciating goods and services, or they essentially attract events and circumstances or people into their life that value money more than them, and it ends up passing from their hands to those that value the money more. And so it may be come in speeding fines, it may parking tickets, it may be paying late fees on something. It may be a friend comes out of the blue and says, "Hey, can I borrow $1,000?" and you've just had that amount drop into your bank account, whatever it may be. One of the biggest examples of that, of this scenario right now, is when you look at all this funding from the government. Now, a lot of people are receiving money for free to support them. They're not going to work, and so they have no value on the exchange of work for money or money through a service. So they immediately go to where their pain was, which is altruism. I never received money for nothing, so I'm going to give it away. And what I do is I'll go on Robinhood or any of these other apps, and I'll start trading on the stock market. And I have no experience whatsoever. That's them talking. But they will not be risk averse, and they will not be conservative in their money management. And so it passes from those that value it least to those that value it most. It invariably ends up in the hands of those people that value it most. So when the market goes against a trade, those people that are newcomers or the young ones or the older ones that have got no stock market experience, that have received this free money, that have had no energy exchange for it, they don't value it, and so they will sell when the market crashes, or they will buy it at the peak. And again, it is transferred from those that least manage it and value it to those that manage it better and value it more. Does that make sense? So before we close off this episode, I'd really love for you to go back and just consider that question I asked at the beginning. If a dollar amount that felt beyond your current level of belief arrived in your bank account tomorrow, what would you do? What would you do? Would you go and spend it? Would you think about all the people in your family and friend circle that you could support and give it away to? Would you give it to charity? Would you put it in the bank and earn 2% or 1% or 0% of interest? Would you put it in the stock market? Would you sit on it for 3 months, 6 months, a year, and let yourself come to terms that you actually have this nest egg that you don't need to rush to spend, so you can consider how you invest it? Because to grow anything is an investment. Unless you value something, you will not invest energy and time into it. And so the worst thing that you can do, and that goes against all of your reality, shape-shifting, life-changing desires, is to not have a plan for your money, not have a plan for what you desire. And so when you think about the plan, it is essentially, what is it that I desire to experience? I desire security and certainty, independence, freedom. Make decisions that are aligned with that end. And if that means that you need to change your behavior, change your habits, change your thinking, change your feeling towards money as an exchange of value, then that is what you need to do. It sounds simple and it's not as easy as it sounds, and I'm sure you would agree. However, how else is your reality going to change unless you start investing in thoughts, feelings, and actions that are aligned with the frequency of wealth management, rather than spending the thoughts, feelings, and actions that are keeping you exactly where you are. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. It might have brought up a number of different things for you. I hope so. Wealth management, wealth creation, wealth consciousness. It is a frequency. It is something like magnetism that is not created. It is expressed. Okay? It is expressed. So it must come from within. It does not come from without. You must give attention to it and give your investment mind to it. You must invest in it from a mind and body perspective. So read up about it, research people that have done it before, and start to look for models that work, not for one-hit wonders, because the one-hit wonder is always running from the guilt and shame narrative. I'll leave you with that to consider. So wherever you are in the world, big love. Remember, it's all you, baby. See you in the field.